Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review The Possession of Michael King. If you invite it in, it will never let you go.
Written and directed by David Jung, starring Shane Johnson, Ella Anderson, Cara Pifko, and Julie McNiven. This movie's about Michael King, a family man who's recently lost his wife and decides to make a documentary that challenges religion and the existence of anything spiritual. So in his quest, he decides to go more of the spiritual route and seeks out priests and mediums to basically force possession upon himself. This is a BBC recommendation, the Bloodbath Baller Club over on Patreon from Maddie. He's a longtime supporter of the channel, a former mod for when I was streaming on Twitch. We talk like every single day. He's been asking for us to review this forever, and then he finally was just like, no, fucking make this my Baller Club recommendation. Do my movie.
And we know exactly why. Because
he knows that I don't like paranormal movies, and he loves them. And here we are.
So spoiler alert, it may be a very lopsided score.
What do we like?
Huge fan of paranormal possession movies. I really like this story because when you have this found footage documentary style, it just makes it more believable. It makes it more real. And you rely on the realism versus the cheap jump scares. And throughout this film, having the different angles of the camera constantly rolling, having it feel as though a person is videotaping their every moment. When something happens, it feels authentic and it actually is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, what helps with the camera setup is the fact that you don't really know what you're going to be looking for when you go from room to room. So whether there is something to be looking at or not, that's what's scary. That's why Paranormal Activity was scary, and that's why there are moments in this movie that are scary because you're like, what is going to happen in this shot? I think the story is kind of cool because there's nothing too crazy. He's not necessarily trying to summon his wife or anything like that. He's just trying to deal with loss, and he has his grief, and he's like, you know what? Like, I've never believed in God or spirits or anything like that, so I just want to disprove everybody who does. And the fact that he's trying to basically disprove this is kind of a cool way of approaching this style of movie, because in almost every other instance, it's we're believers and we need to find the ghouls. So having the opposite approach is unique.
I really enjoyed Shane Johnson as Michael King. I thought he did an amazing job delivering his lines because everything he's saying is believable. And just this whole journey, the way his character develops, you see that transformation. As things become more intense, you can kind of sense that fear, that sense of confusion that he doesn't know exactly what to do, but he doesn't want to give up the story. And he has that drive, he has that motivation, and then the struggle. And I thought he did a great job.
It's basically his journey to madness or possession. We obviously know it's possession based on the title, but it's his internal struggle trying to figure out, is it really a possession or am I just going crazy? So the acting was great.
I like that we don't really get anything too crazy until the very end in the final act of the movie. When you get like the actual like demon coming out, it means something more because nothing prior to this was like in your face. Shit got real. You have like the contortionist style where the body is like snapping and bending. They're flying across the room and it looks good.
Well, prior to that, he also had like a mental breakdown, which I do almost every time I play Overwatch. I fucking tear my office to shit. The blood and the practical effects, while minimal, also looked solid. And from a production level, everything looked really great. Now, what didn't we like? I've said it before, I will say it again. Glitch effects are never the answer. Well, they didn't overuse this like some other films we know. The first few glitches in this movie really like irked me because it's really screeching loud.
No, that can't be right. She wants to... Michael! Listen to me.
I was actually disappointed that this movie wasn't scary. Like, I wasn't afraid at all. This film was styled like a documentary, and there wasn't a moment where I felt, yeah, this is believable and I should be scared. The scene in the cemetery was probably the most scary scene of the movie, but I wasn't scared.
I would counter this because I did feel a lot more tension towards the end of the movie. And the cemetery scene I thought was the worst one. I think there were more scary moments towards the end, so I just disagree.
Tension was there, and it was more intense, but I wouldn't say it was like terrifying because it was just him on his own, where you want to see the character interact with other people and have the possessional scares, like run into a priest, have some victims, just like be in the house. Just something where the demon has to face off against another person, to have him jump out of the corner or be like hiding somewhere and then reappearing. Like those types of scares didn't happen in this movie.
So it's a fundamental issue when it comes to scares. John likes jump scares. I think the internal battle of him going mad is way more terrifying than jump scares. So they get the jump scares out early on with the glitches. And so, yeah, sure, there's no jump scares towards the end of the movie, but it's him, like, fucking slowly going mad, which I was on edge the whole time, like, at the end.
I'm not saying that the ending of the film was bad. I just prefer to see more of a struggle between a demon and people, which makes it more scary.
I didn't like how much Jordan stuck around. I mean, not to say that he was a bad character, he's just a camera guy. Okay, no, let me rewind. I didn't like that Jordan allowed his friend to just like drop LSD and jerk off in people's houses. And he's filming it as a friend, John. If anyone's like, here, drink all this LSD and jerk into this cup, I wouldn't film it. I think that's the safer bet. I get things are gonna get weird today. I'm gonna leave. Enjoy yourself. You fill me in at breakfast tomorrow. Like, there's no way I'm staying with you, especially when we find out there's like a bondage cross and a bunch of dildos and people are fucking and all types of weird shit. I'm leaving. This is too much for me.
What about the necromancer situation?
When you're jumping into black magic and shit, turn down sewing teeth to your stomach. It's permanent. Well, I mean, it's not permanent, but you're gonna have scars, and then you have to explain those scars to the next girl you're getting with. Oh yeah, there was this one time when my ex-wife, she got hit by a truck, and I went on this journey, and I sewed some teeth to my stomach, and that's where I got that. No second date.
I didn't think he would survive to get a date.
Well, yeah, he's in pretty deep, and the demon is in there. He's not going to Starbucks for a coffee. Well, he's got blood red eyes. Although, if he does get a date, that gives me hope. Or it just makes me feel like absolute shit. Like, how is this guy getting a date? Like, I'm just walking by casually in Starbucks, see a fucking demon on a date.
Gotta work on your toad game.
Get some DMT in my system and then just bug out. Maybe I'll just imagine that I'm on dates. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. I'm in shock. I enjoyed this one. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was actually scared because they didn't utilize jump scares. Usually I dismiss these kind of movies because I'm so over somebody sitting in the corner and jumping around. I enjoyed the slow descent into madness. Shane Johnson did a great job as Michael King, and I also just like the idea behind it. Like, I'm willing to be the guinea pig and get to the bottom of spirituality. I'm okay with like the documentary style. I didn't love some of like the glitches early on, but it didn't really affect my rating in any sense. This isn't the best movie I've seen, but it's certainly not the worst, and I would recommend it if you're into paranormal movies. So I'm gonna give this 3.5 firearms out of 5.
I really enjoyed myself watching this movie. I like the story. I love when they try and make it as realistic as possible. Shane Johnson, great actor. He nailed the role. I loved how his character developed. I thought that the lore behind this demon was cool as well. It was a unique take and it wasn't over the top. However, maybe it's because I've seen so many of these movies, I didn't feel this one was as scary as I hoped, but I really did enjoy it. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 3.5 awkward taboo scenes out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie for us to review and you want to join the Bloodbath Baller Club, check out the Patreon, also in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.